Okay, how long have you been teaching?
This is my 16th year. I taught my first 3 years in kindergarten, and I've been in second grade ever since then.
And when you first started teaching second grade, compared with right now, it's very different, right?
Yes, oh yes.
In fact, in the
Very
last,
different.
3, 4 years?
Yeah, I would say 4. In the last 4 years, we were one of the first schools that started using iPads. And we
Right.
first got them, we only had one iPad for every 2 to 3 students.
Right.
And in the last 2 years, we have had an iPad per student. And it's made a huge difference. It's a new learning tool that they are just phenomenal. You can show them one little thing with it, and then a couple of days them just working with things and playing with it. They are just phenomenal what they learn to do with it so quick.
So what you're telling me, if I'm correct, is that the better the tools, the better the task is done.
Yes.
And the learning being the task that we're
Yes.
talking about. So.
And I think with our technology in our world today, they have, iPhones and iPads and all these things at home too.
Right.
So they, the technology is there around them constantly. And they take a lot of what they do at school now that I don't even assign them things, and they go home and start doing their own things with their parents on their technology things at home.
Right. Do you see any increase in their questioning, that they generate more questions as a result of it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I usually, for any project that I give them, we start out with some kind of on-paper rubric where they have to, I get in, know what I want to get out of them by the end of the project, and we start there. We start with an essential question or a set of questions. What do we really want to find out about this topic? And and then they just take it and run with it. I have between my Moodle page that they go to, I have several things there for them to research and go on Discovery Education. We use a ton for videos and just written documentation, read articles, and yeah, it's just impressive. It's very impressive.
Some of my students still think that they will teach like they were taught. That is, somebody just tells them things, tells the students things, and then the kids are supposed to memorize that and burp it back. What's your comment on that type of instruction?
I mean, I'm sure there are places in the world, sadly, that are still doing it like that. I hope not around here. We've just got, it's just, even if it's not with the technology, I've learned so much from graduating college and even going back and getting my master's from South Alabama, that it's just phenomenal what I've learned to give to them to take on. And I mean, like earlier today, I hardly said anything to them. I mean, I don't stand up and teach in front of them. We do little small, they come to the carpet area and I guide them on what we're starting or what we're doing, and I walk them through the process. And they do so much more on their own, and I'm more of their guiding them how they're learning instead of just being the facilitator, the one who teaches and talks all the time. They take a lot of the teaching to themselves and even do so much more peer teaching in the last few years that it's just incredible.
What do you think about your job as a result of these changes?
It's more fun. It's more, I just told you when you walked in, my room's a mess because I don't have time to stop and clean up. We're doing one project, we go from one thing to another thing. We've got so much going on. I mean, they still do pencil, people, well, how do you grade anything, or they still do pencil and paper stuff. We always start with pencil and paper because the thought process needs to be there. They're just second graders. They're 7 and 8 years old. They need to know that they can think it and write it, and we're still working on our reading skills, our writing skills, writing correct sentences, using grammar correctly. That's all there. But then, like with their keynote that they did about loggerhead sea turtles, they took exactly what they had on their sheet of paper, their sentences that they had researched and found the facts for, and turned it into an incredible keynote presentation.
You mentioned rubrics. My students come, a lot of them don't know anything about rubrics. Do your students understand what rubrics are? Do you share that with them at all or not?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they know that word, and they know it as maybe in college it's more like it's almost like a syllabus when you start off in a college class. It's kind of what's expected of you throughout the year, where a rubric is what's expected of them for this project. It is guiding them. It is their guiding questions. What, that way, because if you just say, "Oh, we're doing a presentation on loggerhead sea turtles," go. That's too much. It's too much. It's too broad for them. They have to know exactly what I'm looking for. What are they? Why are we even learning about them? Why is it important to learn about them? They're almost endangered, and all those different facts. So the rubric that they had for that was specifically, you need to find this many facts, and this is what I want you. And that's those small moment teaching times that I do with them. I start them out and we talk about it. And Miss Bennett, our librarian, came in and she got them started with me. And we watched. She gave them just a little 3-minute video just to watch about the loggerhead sea turtles, which really grabbed their attention and made them want to learn about them. And they're children, and it's an animal, and that's always a good combination to put together. But the rubric is simply what I want from them out of this project. It is what I want them to research. So it's kind of like, as a professor in college, you giving your students a syllabus, what's expected of them in your course. It's kind of like that, just on a much smaller scale for second graders.
One of the
Ms. Pierce came in, our principal, this morning, and my students were showing her their new first keynote presentation that they had done on loggerhead sea turtles. And so I was showing her in relation to that how we were working on, we've also taken their reading Dibbles test this week. And I was showing her the impact of this real world reading that they're doing, researching on the internet, different kid-safe, friendly research sites that they go to find information for some of their presentations that they're working on, and how that is impacting their Dibbles scores in a very positive way, because it's more fun to them because they're getting to do something on a subject that they're interested in, and they are reading really on a higher level than what they would be reading on if we just had a normal second grade textbook out reading with it. So Miss Pierce was definitely impressed with their Dibble scores going up as high as they had, and I think that made the big impact on them.
One of the things that people tell me is, "Oh, I'm worried about whether or not all this technology will just be used for entertainment and they won't be able to do well on the tests which are mandated." What's your feeling about the preparation for tests as a result of the new way of teaching?
Yes. Well, second grade is not a testing grade, so you may go talk to an older teacher to get that too. But I know, watching my son is now in 6th grade, and watching him the last couple of years go through, and his test scores have gone up a lot. And watching the presentations that he does as a 5th grader last year, now a 6th grader, it's almost like my kids are doing just a small snippet of that, where his are much more in-depth research. He also starts out with a rubric, or sometimes it's a couple of different kind of rubrics, guiding him to get to that finished product. But from what I can see, and from what I hear from my teacher friends who are teaching older grades, it's definitely helping them. And they don't play with them. People come and see them on iPads. They're not playing with them. They are using them as an educational tool to learn.
Tell me about Tell me about divots and what they are and the impact that your teaching methods have had on divots. I don't know exactly.
Dibbles.
Dibbles.
The Dibbles testing. Our Dibbles testing for the lower grades is it used to be state mandated, and it's kind of gone off from that now, but it's something that our principal expects of us. I know it's K through 2, definitely. Maybe third grade does it at the beginning of the year in the middle. But Dibbles is it's really just a timed test, and it's testing their fluency, their capability of fluency. Where in kindergarten they're just doing, they start out the year just doing letter recognition. Where in second grade, a fluency test is composed of 3 reading passages they've never seen before. And they sit with the reading passage, and I time them for 1 minute, and I'm looking to see how many words they get correct in that minute.
And what impact has, if any, has this new way of teaching, project-based and with technology as a tool to support that effort, had on the Dibbles scores?
I've just seen, we do it, Dibbles is done 3 times a year. It's done at the beginning of the school year in August, about the second to third weekend of the school year. We do it in the middle of the school year, which is in December, and we do it again at the end of the year. And there's a number we're looking for. There's a benchmark number we're looking for each time. So I have noticed last year, and then really the principal and I my principal, Miss Pierce, walked in this morning, and I was showing her the Dibbles scores because we've just done them for this part of the year. And some of mine that were just reading from 20 to 40 words per minute in August are now reading, they've doubled their scores. They're reading from 60 to 80, even up to 100 words per minute. And it is because, to me, I think it is because we have got them doing a lot more real world reading. We're not all reading the same Basil. We've changed our reading instruction this year. We are, they are reading on their level. So, when you have kids come in to second grade, you don't have 22 second graders who are all reading on a second grade level. This is a real world. We have some that are on a low first grade level. We have some that may be reading on a third or fourth grade level. So I have to figure out where can I get them, where can I reach them and move them further. And so if I give them all a second grade level book, it's going to be too hard for some, and it's going to be way too easy for some. So this year, our reading instruction has focused on, as an individual student, their reading level. So if I have a student that's still reading on a first grade level, then they are being pushed to read on their level and slowly get it a little bit harder for them. Where if I have a student that walks in my door in August that's already reading on a third grade level, and I make that student keep reading on a second grade level, that's not doing much for to up their reading. So those students are reading third grade, getting them from